happens. So the brain is basically a big computer, right? So the way that the brain makes connections between things is, I'm going to get real nerdy with you guys. I'm going to try to make it as approachable as possible. So the brain runs on electrical impulses, right? So you've got these little neurons that talk to each other in the brain, and they hit off each other, making electrical things happen. Like this little thing, like there's a bunch of electrical things happening right now in my brain to make this motion, right? So what happens is that when you learn about things in life, or you have things happen to you, the brain is like a supercomputer taking in information through all of your senses. Eyes being most powerful, hearing, you've got touch, you have taste, you have smell. And what happens is that all those neurons are firing together. And when those neurons fire together, they wire and hardwire together. So when you think about like your first memory about the joy of eating ice cream, okay, like your brain is taking it in, it's looking at what it, and the feelings and emotions are strong with that. It's taking in the taste and the smell of the ice cream. It's taking in the visuals of you laughing with friends or family, whoever you were, and it literally locks all that in there, right? So you have locked memories that get stored in your brain. And when you have outside stimuli that happens that are similar to what happened in a past situation, the brain recalls the memory. And it's like, oh, we have an app for that because we know exactly what to do when that happens. And it triggers everything that happened in the past. So when you think about the mind as, is it a function of soul? Is it a function of the body? It's a function of your program, of what your brain programmed in those moments and what you've learned. And when you think about like the massive information matrix of things that you just know about life, you learned in school, that there's like billions and trillions of associations that your brain has made. So when your brain makes those associations and then you're connecting with soul, and that feeling of connecting with soul, it feels extremely uncomfortable because it's running counter to all that stuff that your brain has built up about the whole book of life that it's figured out or whatever. When it runs counter to that, that's why we feel the discomfort, because it's unfamiliar, because it's not, we can't pull from a past memory. We can't pull from anything else. It's new information coming in. And when you are trying to break programming, you're basically breaking sensory connections that is like molded like this in your brain. It can be done. That's why we all new research, especially Joe Dispenza's work, about building new neural pathways. You're building new neural connections that then are opposing or even completely erasing and basically recoding over what you learned from the past. My sense with that is there are some times where we completely forget we were one way, like missing memories and things like that, because we no longer have an identity or programming in our brain that encompasses past memory. So then it's easy for us to like not have recall around it. And then there are other ways in which, I now live this life. I still remember my past life, but my past life is not as emotionally triggering anymore because I've broken that component of that memory and that programming. So when you understand it sort of in that way, you understand like you're literally breaking down synaptic connections when you are creating new things. And you can do that energetically because they're based on energy. So the more you can unravel that sensory connection and that sensory molding, the more that you can unravel that, take the emotions out of it, take the sensory piece out of what got connected. So you start to unravel it like this. There might be some parts that are still connected, but they don't trigger you as much as they would because you've taken out pieces that no longer like have sensation in the body. So therefore you don't really, it's there, but doesn't affect you. Does that make sense? It is basically a supercomputer. So it's definitely more body. And then you've got soul energy that runs completely counter to that. So it's like we have this awareness that's totally grounded in being in this 3D world. And then, but we also have this knowing But the problem is that the knowing is so uncomfortable because it doesn't match up with what's happening in here. And you're like, it can't be true because I know X, Y, and Z. But the way to start breaking that is you don't know everything. You know everything up to the point at which you know that to be true, but could it be different? It could be different. That's why curiosity is and experimentation is so powerful when it comes to change, because you are literally reprogramming your brain based on all this new outside information and internal knowing that just free flows through you, hasn't been programmed in yet, and then helps to break down memories and just way that your brain has organized how to operate in your different environments.